Big Bang Theory viewers, don't go anywhere. John Cena is back. Bill Goldberg coming to Jacksonville, and Sergeant Slaughter chokes me out. It all happens on Going Ringside, which starts right now.
Influencing pop culture, politics, and everything in between, taking you ringside as we discuss the crazy world that is professional wrestling. This is Going Ringside.
Welcome to the show. The clock is ticking. WrestleMania is almost here, and all of WWE's big stars are back. Going into WrestleMania in Las Vegas in about a week and a half, John Cena is now going to be the official host of WrestleMania. Of course, Cena famously retired from in-ring action in December, but never said he was done with wrestling as an on-camera figure. One thing I got to announce here for Jacksonville, another big name, Bill Goldberg, is coming to Jacksonville. The icon will be at River City Wrestling Con, which is June 6th and 7th at World Golf Village. He's a big headline guest alongside Dennis Rodman, who we already told you about. Another guy we got to talk about, Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is also back. The ESPN WWE hybrid star was the mystery man talking to Randy Orton, teasing his return. He attacked Cody Rhodes, and there's now some reporting that the actual CEO of TKO, which is WWE's parent company, a guy named Ari Emanuel, pushed for McAfee to come back in because that he truly believes he's a huge mainstream star. Well, speaking of huge mainstream stars over the decades, it would be that guy, the former face of G.I. Joe, an iconic wrestler. We're talking about Sergeant Slaughter. I just caught up with Sarge, who actually lived in Jacksonville for a while. I didn't know that, to talk about his legendary career, including that horrific, scary scene where he pretended in storyline to be an Iraqi sympathizer during the original Gulf War. His family's life was actually threatened. So he has had just a legendary career. Let's get to it. Here's that man. This is Sergeant Slaughter. We're joined now by the legend himself, Sergeant Slaughter. Sarge, thanks for joining us today.
Good to be here at ease.
Okay, thank you, thank you. How have you been doing? What is going on in your life right now?
Well, we're very, very busy doing a lot of these wrestling cons and Comic Cons, and we have Joe Fest coming up in Augusta, Georgia in June, and just stay real busy with Hasbro toys and G.I. Joe.
I got to ask about that. You still have the G.I. Joe logo. Talk to me about the decision to go with G.I. Joe. Probably the best business decision for a wrestler of all time.
Yes, it was. It was a tough decision, but my wife basically made it for me because I didn't know what to do. WWE wanted me to stay with them and do WrestleMania 1 with Hulk Hogan and I against Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff.
And you were at your most over at that point, really, yeah.
It was, as Vince McMahon said, I was even more popular than Hulk Hogan, which is quite a compliment. But when Hasbro came knocking, I had to make a decision, and my wife told me, you can always be a wrestler, you can't always be the first living G.I. Joe. So I told her, that's why you get the big bucks, honey.
And it was really remarkable. You were more known than probably any wrestler almost in history. You and Hogan were pretty much even because of that Joe franchise. That's in every home in America for children.
Yes. Well, we became the #1 selling boys toy right after I joined them. So that made me pretty happy and put a medal on my chest.
Sure. Then eventually life changes for you and you go back to wrestling in arguably, still you're at the top, the most controversial angle and run of all time.
Yes.
With 1991 and the Gulf War.
Right. I came back from G.I. Joe. My contract ran out, and Vince McMahon called me and asked me if I wanted to go back to work for them, and I said, yeah, I'm ready to go. He said, I got an idea for you, and of course, his idea was for me to be an Iraqi sympathizer.
So when he brings this to you, what's going through your head?
Well, I was all gung-ho, ready to go, but my wife said, you're crazy. You're insane to go from G.I. Joe to an Iraqi sympathizer. Sure. You're going to get killed. And I said, well, let's go for it. She said, you make the decisions on your character, so do what you got to do.
What was that like going to the ring, going through life at that point?
Well, it was a lot of rough times. You know, I was so busy, I didn't keep much around me. You know, I just kept going and going and going, but my family and friends were all getting the brunt of the problem. But
really, family, and it would affect family and friends.
Yeah. I had 4 armed guards that walked the perimeter of my property 24/7.
Oh my God!
And I wore a bulletproof vest in the ring, and had a lot of bomb threats and death threats. And so did Vince McMahon and his family.
Because this was such a real life thing. I mean, you're touching on the real world.
Yeah, when Vince McMahon asked me to do it, I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. And he said, if you go too far, I'll pull you back. So I did a lot of things that were way over the line, and he finally had pulled me back a couple times. But the worst part about it is I didn't get to go. The only reason I did it was to get a record of 104,000 in LA Coliseum, but because of all the death threats, we had to pull away from there.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted a lot of money to secure the Coliseum, and Vince McMahon didn't want to pay it.
When that angle finally ran its course, was it a relief to you?
I was kind of glad to get out of it because it really wasn't me. You know, I'm an all-American guy. So when they asked me to burn the American flag, I knew it was time to get out of it. So I refused.
That was discussed.
Yeah,
that was discussed.
They asked me to do that, and I refused it. I told them I'd burn Hulk Hogan's shirt as a part of Americana, representing Americana, but that's as far as I would go.
One guy you worked with at his very infancy during this era was The Undertaker.
Right.
Was he really green at that point? I mean, were you kind of training him?
Right. Well, he was with the WCW and sent a videotape to the WWE to have a tryout and come in and work for them, which I found in a box of tapes. So I took it to Vince McMahon. When I first saw it, I pulled it out of the machine, and like a halfback, I headed to Vince's office to show him this talent that I found, although he was already a talent. I said, this is the guy you're looking for. And he said, if you want to bring him in, bring him in. So I called Mark up, and first 2 times I called him, he hung up on me because he didn't believe it was me. And so the 3rd time I hung up on him, I said, here's my number, call me. And a little while later, he called and found out it was really me, and I brought him into Rochester, New York, and had his first tryout, and he'd been there ever since.
Well, Sergeant Slaughter, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure. Before you leave, we got to give you a...
oh, not a Cobra Clutch.
Cobra Clutch. I hope you get a ride. Hope you get a ride back to the studio.
Topic.
Yeah.
Topic. This hurts.
We got something for you. You're now a member of the Cobra Clutch Club.
Oh, I'm in the Cobra Clutch Club. This is awesome.
All right.
Sarge, thank you so much. Well, now we want to talk about Sarge's iconic career with friend of the show, Desiree Josen, with the Chutes and Ladders podcast. Desiree, thank you for joining us again.
Happy to be here.
Well, I got to embarrass you right off the top. You said something to me off camera. I couldn't believe I heard this about Sergeant Slaughter. The thing she said, this is actually an actual conversation. She goes, he has the softest skin. Is that an actual thing?
Yes. I had the opportunity to meet him at the local wrestling convention, and I got to sit and talk with him for a good amount of time. So he, put me in the Cobra Clutch, gave me a big hug, and what I noticed was how beautiful and smooth his skin was, and that was just a random observation.
There are a lot of things that have been said over the decades about Sergeant Slaughter. I think this is the first time anyone's talked about how soft his skin is, so that's nice.
Yeah, he's a nice man.
He is a nice man, and I want to talk to you about his peak, something I've debated with people, and when I say this, a lot of people look at me like I'm a moron, but I kind of believe it. When Sarge was at his peak, this before he did the Iraqi Sympathizer, when he was the face of G.I. Joe, for millions of American children, do you think he was as big as Hulk Hogan?
I believe so.
Really?
Yes. He was very patriotic, and he was known for those big matches with Iron Sheik.
And he was on television in every home in America because he was the G.I. Joe. He was a cartoon character. Do you think that type of thing is something wrestlers, they do more so now, try and get? If you see, I can be the face of a cartoon, I can be this mainstream thing, do you think guys are there in the locker, and women there in the locker room going, I gotta call my agent. I gotta figure out how to get in on that.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you not try to do that and just completely be your own brand?
Then Sarge went into the management role. He was the on-camera commissioner.
Yep.
He was the figurehead. He was one of Vince McMahon's kind of stooges behind the scenes.
Yes.
What did you think of them in that role? Did you think he had the gravitas to kind of pull it off and face off with Steve Austin?
I think he did. I think he was really tough already just because of his background of being Sarge. And what I loved was some of his skits and promos with DX that would pick on him and really tease him. So I thought he was perfect.
Before we go, Chutes and Ladders podcast, where do people find it?
On YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify.
Desiree, thank you for joining us. And of course, thanks to Sarge for talking to us. Welcome back. And now we want to talk about another star who joins us here on the show. We're talking about Michin, one of the hottest stars on SmackDown and all of WWE. We sat down with a friend of the show, Victoria Crawford, who is from Jacksonville. You used to know as Alicia Fox. Now you know her by her real name. But let's get to it. Here is WWE Superstar. This is Michin. Well, we're excited to be joined right now by one of the hottest stars on SmackDown, Michin. Michin, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we're, of course, here with Victoria, friend of the show, to join us on this interview. We do want to ask you about that U.S. Women's title. This is a new title for WWE, having kind of a high-level mid-card title for the women's division. Do you think that's good for women's wrestling?
I think that's great for women's wrestling, especially now because there's so many talented women. We don't have time to showcase everybody, so this just gives another avenue to, chase, because there's a lot of us that we either don't have time or there's no place for us on like the top end just yet. So at least now we have something to focus on and something to chase and something to showcase during the show. So I think with the amount of talent that is with, women's talent in WWE right now, like this is only positives for us.
Victoria, you're up.
Yes. Hi, sister. So I'm so happy to see you, and I'm such a fan. I've watched you develop through a lot of promotions before you got to WWE, and I guess that's where I want to start. My question is, you've seen this industry change. You've been in the ring with a lot of girls. I'm sure you get to reconnect with a lot of girls on different platforms and stuff. But what is it about, as you were saying, finally getting the opportunity within the larger machine to get recognition and visibility? Is there anything that changed in your drive or your momentum? Like, how do you keep your stamina up? Because I just relate to your story of, you're working hard. I've had transformational years, but it goes like this sometimes. So I'm just curious, you are in the independents, which is where I'm at, trying to either get back to a machine or get paid, get a job again. So it's like, what in your experience could you help me if I were coming to you as my vet? Like, what do I do?
That's a great question, but I'll get back to that. I just want to say that you deserve to be on a higher stage, and I hope that I get to wrestle you soon because you are a dream and amazing. I love you. Let me stop marking out. I think the biggest thing, especially this year, that I've gotten so many opportunities than I've had in a while, where I think it's just like comfortability and never settling. Like, I've lost a lot of weight on purpose. Like I tried, just because, I wanted to be faster in the ring. I wanted to stop getting out of breath in the ring. And of course, like if I'm competing, I'm in the ring with people like Bianca and Jade, and I'm like, I need to get my stuff together. So it's everything from like, everybody should be going to therapy. I love therapy, so that keeps me mentally grounded. Eating better, just with like helping with my weight and just my feeling better on the inside. But it's also like the more that I wrestle too, especially in front of crowds and on TV, I'm not as nervous anymore, where that's where like a lot of the mistakes happen. And you forget the basics, where now that I'm starting to get used to being wrestling on TV and stuff, it's like, okay, now I can have a little fun. Now I can twerk a little bit here and there. Oh, I got 5 seconds. Let me twerk a little bit. You know, just trying to have fun out there.
So I appreciate Michin sitting down with us, and of course, friend of the show, Victoria, being on the show with us. Coming up after the break, maybe the greatest referee of all time. Also, our thoughts on the upcoming WrestleMania card. Stay with us. Welcome back. You know, in the biggest wrestling matches of all time, Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle, there's been a third man in the ring, maybe the one you didn't pay attention to. It is that man right there, Mike Chioda. Maybe the greatest referee to ever live. He was with the company for decades. I caught up with Mike because it is really interesting to hear from the referee, the guy who has been the third man in the ring for the biggest matches that have ever been. Well, we are here with the legendary referee of legendary referees, Mike Chioda. Mike, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Man, Scott, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I did not realize how long you were with the company.
Yeah, 35 years, yes.
So in the mid-'80s?
Mid-'80s, started in 85 with ring crew and all that.
When did reffing really start for you?
Refereeing started in 87 when Chief J. Strombo and Gorilla Monsoon. I grew up with Gorilla Monsoon in New Jersey. And
yeah.
His son, Joey Morella, had passed years ago.
And he was a referee as well.
And Joey was a referee as well, yeah. I mean, he did the most, you know, the Hulk Hogan and Andre match at WrestleMania there.
Before we talk about big matches, I always wanted to understand what a referee is in the match. Are you like a on-site producer, or how would you characterize, particularly in the TV era more than anything?
It's going to take all day to explain what a referee has to do. A referee has to do a lot. I mean, you have to obey the rules. You have to apply the rules to the match. And in every certain way, whether it's a 5 count in the corner to a 10 count outside the ring, you have to make sure the shoulders are down before the pinfall. You have to make sure the wrestlers are okay, concussed. You have to give time cues. Back in the day, and you still have to call spots back and forth, because a lot of wrestlers do go blank at certain spots, to where the referee should know the whole match, to where if somebody
You're there to guide them through if crap goes down.
When need be, you need to be there.
Because I always wondered, because I think of an 80s jobber match, very quick, very formulaic.
True.
But your mega matches at Manias, which are like 30 minutes
40,
long.
30, 40, there's
that
hour.
Is that something you need to memorize?
Yes, everything. And then you got to worry about your own spots coming up, your bumps that the referee has to take. You have to be in place, and you have to make it incognito that you're getting ready to get. It has to just look like it was an accident.
Gotcha.
So there's so many things a referee, and you have to give cues going into commercial break, coming out, going off the live show.
So let's talk about some of the big matches.
Yes, sir.
What are some of the big ones? I know you've had an infinite number, but let's talk about some of the big ones that come to mind.
I mean, I hate to take away from all these matches, great matches I've done. You know, Rock and Hogan.
Okay, let's stop there. Rock and Hogan.
Yes.
Iconic. The fans were so into that match.
Yes, they were. I mean, I had goosebumps. I was in the business 2002, 17 years at that point. I had goosebumps. I was marking out. I became a fan almost inside the ring.
Okay.
It was so loud I couldn't even hear myself think or talk. It was like crazy because I was so
on that match, because that's got the iconic where they look like that at each other, and the fans are just turning on Rock, turning for Hogan. You guys dealing with that in real time?
Man, I mean, that match should have been last that night. There was a discussion. I mean, Chris Jericho was running around going, "This match should be on last. This match should be on last." And that was 22 years ago. He was saying that when he knew, being from Canada. You know, the people in Canada, Canadian fans, are just awesome. They respect wrestling. They love their hockey. They love their wrestling.
Other big matches. Did you do the Austin-Shawn match?
I did the Austin-Shawn match.
With Mike Tyson.
As the enforcer, yes.
I want to ask, what's it like when you bring in people like a Tyson to work with them in that situation?
It's fantastic. I mean, here it was like, you know, Mike Tyson came back from rehearsals the night before. And he walks up to me and goes, "Hey, Mike Chioda." And I'm like, "You know my name?" I'm like, "Bro, he goes, "Man, he watched wrestling so much. He loved wrestling."
Yeah.
So when he knew my name, I was like, "Oh my God," you know. It was like, and it was a pleasure to meet Mike Tyson. He was one of my favorite boxers.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, that match was phenomenal for me. Brock and Kurt Angle, WrestleMania in Seattle. Rock in Austin and Philadelphia.
What was the Brock and Kurt Angle match like? Because you've got two guys who are just
banged up, studs, but banged up already going into the match. And then when Brock
So Brock did the inverted 450 or whatever he called it? Yeah.
And then, man, I'll tell you, he powered through that match at the end.
Did he hurt himself in that move?
He sure did, yes.
Really?
Yeah,
what are you doing as a ref in that situation? I've always wondered when a guy you know is struggling, I mean, how are you handling that?
I just got to go with the flow on that, man. And, like, you know, there's no just ringing the bell. It's unless Brock tells me to ring the bell at that point, or if the backstage or higher up. But I still wouldn't even do it unless Kurt or Brock called it out there.
Did you ever run into problems where you missed something? Like Vince or the talent's pissed? I mean, did that ever come up?
It was a few things. Not too many in my career, which I really take pride in.
So I appreciate Mike talking to us. Great perspective as the greatest ref ever. But now we got to bring in producer Rory for Rory's rant on an important one, WrestleMania. Rory, what are your thoughts going into Mania in about a week and a half? Are you happy with the show?
Honestly, I'm not, and it's a general consensus online that this Mania is not a fun Mania. Like, there's not a lot of hype. There's some stories that are really well done, and then there's some stories that aren't. Like Pat McAfee being the mystery caller for Randy Orton just doesn't make any sense. Pat McAfee is cool as a commentator. I just don't think he's very entertaining.
What about like Jelly Roll, iShow Speed? They're getting a lot of celebs this year.
Yeah, I don't really like how they're bringing all these celebs. I do think that like Speed and Lil Yachty, their integration has been really natural, while I don't feel like Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee's have been. So it's kind of weird. I get what WWE is trying to do. They're trying to make WWE this pop culture icon that it used to kind of be, but it really wasn't about the celebrities. It was always about the wrestlers. You knew John Cena, you knew Batista, you knew Randy Orton, you knew Jazz, you knew all these people, but that was because of the wrestlers, not the celebrities. And I hope that WWE gets back to that, especially with WrestleMania being less than 2 weeks away.
Producer Rory going off. Rory, thanks for joining us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and I know you're about to watch NXT here in just a minute, but do me a favor, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@GoingRingside. Give us a follow there. That's where all our huge interviews live. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy NXT. We'll see you back here next week.